101 FM are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Hello and welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org. And if you are overseas and on the move, US listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you are in the UK, 0330-332-6541, or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and YouTube Live in the first watch today. And in London, from anti-immigrant riots to anti-racism rallies. And in second watch, a snapshot of news, lightweight, billion-dollar bust, Cherry Tree Lane massacre, and back to school again. For our social media question, we ask, what are your thoughts on the riots and rallies that were happening in the UK? Share your responses on our Love 101 FM Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also on WhatsApp, 876-9973-125, using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your responses later on the program, but first, as I quote.
All right, today's I quote says, "Person christening won't pick the first." This is a Jamaican proverb that says the person always christens his own child first.
Person christening won't pick. You know, I always hear it as, this is how I always hear it. Person christen him picnic first.
Right, that's what I know it to be.
I've never heard the own
him own picnic. Yeah, it still sounds English. Still sounds proper.
Good morning, Juka.
Good morning. Good morning.
The first watch will look back after this break.
The Ministry of Finance and the Public Service, in collaboration with the private sector organization of Jamaica, is pleased to announce that all nominations are now open for the 2024 Public Bodies Corporate Governance Awards, which will be held on December 4, 2024. Let excellence reign and be recognized for your high standards of corporate governance practices across a variety of categories. Submit your nomination by 4 p.m. on Friday, September 6th. Submission is free. Visit mof.gov.jm for more information.
To my amazing son on his wedding day, my heart is full of joy for you. I wish you a lifetime of happiness and a house full of love. Oh, and some kids would be nice. Your mommy will be the kindest, loveliest granny there ever was. Love always, Daddy. I promised him I'd read this to you one day, and here we are.
Thanks, Mommy. Your love lives on with life insurance from Sagicor. Talk to an advisor today.
Don't let freshness ditch you when you need it the most. Wash your clothes with Downy Softener to keep dazzling everyone around you from day to night. Try Downy Softener now.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm Stokeley Marshall. In a dramatic turn of events, thousands of anti-racism protesters took to the streets across England just about a week ago. It's reported countering a week of anti-immigrant rioting and disorder. Many persons would have seen reference to all of this in the media and the reports, etc. This after an anti-immigrant misinformation campaign, it's reported, stoked outrage over a stabbing attack that left 3 children dead in Southport, Northern England. What's really happening in the UK? To help to look at this today, we have as our guest Reverend Christopher Lewis. He's a church planter now in England, and he teaches English to the immigrants, interestingly, and a little bit more on the Reverend. He also does a lot of missionary work. He works in a multicultural church. He has a ministry to, as I indicated, well, immigrants, refugees, and has worked in refugee camps, in an abandoned hotel used to temporarily house refugees. And he has also led a lot of Muslims to Christ. And he knows persons on various sides of this particular type of issue or of this issue. We also have as a guest today in this first watch, Mark Cornwall. Mr. Cornwall is a Jamaican who has been living in London for 17 years. Good morning, Mark Cornwall. Good morning, Reverend.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be with you.
This sounds
Good
like,
morning.
okay, yes, we have both of you. Now, first of all, what is the state of illegal immigration at the moment in the United Kingdom, starting with you, Reverend Lewis?
Okay, well, I mean, the issue is that there are a lot of refugees here from various places. And of course, whether what we're using the word illegal, we need to be careful because it is legal to claim asylum. So it depends on the situation, whether you can refer to them as illegal immigrants. But a lot of people have come in from various places. Some of them, many of them are legitimate refugees. And of course, there are people who are not, who also come in and join the bandwagon of the immigration. But there's a lot of people here from various countries. Obviously, we had a big influx here from Syria, from the war in Syria, and more recently, another big influx from Ukraine. But there are also people from many countries that are in the
And Mark Cornwall, you concur with Reverend Lewis?
I definitely don't have the statistics as the Reverend would, but yes, from where I've been working, I work in healthcare. We've seen an influx of Ukrainian immigrants recently, and yeah, they're quite a diverse range of immigrants in the country.
Absolutely.
What do you mean by diverse?
From everywhere, from many different countries, Europe, Africa, meaning Africa, the continent, Europe, the continent, not the country. So they're immigrants from all over. I mean, they're coming through in terms of immigrants that are not coming in officially. I mean, they're coming across in boats. I would presume, I don't know if the Reverend would agree. And they're coming
Well, for the
from many
purpose of the
different countries.
discussion, we'd want to focus really on persons who do not enter the country in compliance with the relevant legal channels that are set up by the United Kingdom. Continue, Mark Cornwall.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know there are even immigrants from Brazil, for example, who are coming in. So they get into the country via various routes, but they're making their way here for many different reasons, and it's just a question of what they find when they get here, I guess.
Okay. Now, since these riots and rallies that are thought, since the riots and rallies, what are the thoughts and moods of UK residents at this time today? And are most of the persons, or were most of the persons protesting among the poorer British persons? Just seeing some of the media reports, one might get that impression. And do some of these protesters feel that those who are now coming into the UK from, for example, a lot of Christians in the UK might feel that these are non-Christians coming into their country? Are they feeling that these immigrants are getting preferential treatment over them? I know it's a loaded question, but starting with you, Reverend Lewis.
Okay, well, it was a loaded question. It also has a lot of parts because you asked about how the Christians respond. And I can't speak for all the Christians across the UK, but the Christian communities that I work with and that I'm close to are all
Do you mind indicating which Christian community that is?
okay. Well, it varies. I mean, I work with the Church of England, so I'm in the Anglican Church, also closely connected with the Church of the Nazarene. And I know a number of Pentecostal independent churches, so I have connections all across England and Scotland, across evangelical, Pentecostal, and Anglican fields because as an evangelist and being here for many years. And the Christians that I know, most of them are quite supportive of the refugees. But I know that there will be ones that are not. One thing we have to remember when we talk about the immigration and response to it is that the UK is very different from the USA. So we don't want to confuse the reactions in the USA to the UK. Whereas in the USA, the people who consider themselves on the right or the far right tend to identify in the States largely as Christians. In the UK, that is not so much the case. So you will get some Christians who are against the immigrants or against what they might call illegal immigrants or against refugees. But the ones I know personally, Mark might have different contacts and different experiences, but almost all the ones I know personally are along with the 76% of the people who recently stated that they were against the riots and against what's going on that side of things.
Well, I will say that I have not made a reference to things such as far left, far right, or right, because I think once you introduce those terms, it puts a sort of taint over the discussion, and people look at that and they look at other issues that might be underlying it. So, but I'm not saying you shouldn't have used those terms. But what you're saying is that most of the persons you're interfacing with are sympathetic to the refugees, and you did indicate earlier that some of them are not necessarily refugees. I'm trying to paraphrase. How do you know who is who?
Well, we have to leave that to the authorities to sort through this. Really, when they're taken in and they go through the refugee process, there's quite an involved process where they have to be basically checked out. They have to go through extreme proceedings to really confirm as best as possible where they come from, why they're here. That's not something I can speak in more detail into, except that I know that I have worked with people going through the process, and it is quite strict and involved process.
Okay. Now, it is indicated by some sources that some of the British persons, if I could say native British persons, I don't know.
Yeah, Britons, they say here. You could say Britons.
Britons, yes. Yeah. So it is indicated that some of the native Britons, especially some of those towards the lower end of the economic pole or totem pole or the ladder or the scale, they might feel a little uncomfortable because they may be racist, they may not be racist. But whatever the situation is, they see foreigners coming in, receiving what they regard as preferential treatment, indicating that sometimes they're put up in even luxury hotels or some kind of hotel accommodation, whilst you have native Brits who are homeless on the street. And when persons come into the country from wherever it is, whether it's Asia, Africa, as the case may be, it puts some kind of a strain on resources, arguably making less available for the native Brits. I mean, I'm thinking of a situation where you could have a family, two children, or it could even be three daughters, and one is treated like Cinderella and the others are not. They're treated in a preferential way. Is it that some native Brits, for whatever reason, they are uncomfortable because they think people are coming in and getting better treatment than them? Reverend?
Yes, there are some who believe that, and it's difficult to speak of this situation without referring to political parties, because it's politicians who are largely pushing certain politicians who are largely pushing the misinformation campaigns. Now, the luxury hotel thing is definitely misinformation for two reasons. One, having even worked in one of the hotels, but also knowing many of the hotels, and
we're upon a break, Reverend. Can you hold that for 1 second?
Absolutely.
We'll be right back at the Morning Watch.
Spanish Town, you're up next. Double the Love is coming your way. Saturday, August 24. See you there.
Peter, kill me! Need a product that can cool down your house and reduce your light bill this summer? Introducing Lanco Cool Guard Paint. Yes, Lanco Cool Guard Paint uses Thermaflex technology, a tiny insulating microsphere that expands as the outside temperature of the coating rises. This blocks heat from penetrating the surface, reducing over 80% of all that heat inside your house. Feel cooler inside this summer. Ask for Lanco Cool Guard Paint for a cooler space. Keep your career options open for local and overseas job opportunities in the booming hospitality and tourism industry with City and Guilds and ABE and Board certification at Distinction College. Start online and face-to-face classes very soon in a career of high demand for workers globally and get certified in housekeeping, food preparation, waitering, travel, tourism, and hospitality. Bartending and mixology, customer service, call center, key baking and decorating, airline ticketing, no subjects require no age limit. Register this week and get an additional course for free. Call Distinction College at 876-356-4167 or 354-8560. Visit us in Kingston, Spanish Town, Ocean, us online or St. Elizabeth. Gear up the schoolers! July 15th to September 14th, Boschka's amazing back-to-school deals just for you! Buy a case of books and receive a box of pencils and pens! Don't miss special discounts on computer tables and chairs starting August 1st! That's not all! 2 lucky winners will receive a Samsung tablet or a $30,000 back-to-school shopping spree! Follow us on all socials at Bashka Jamaica for more information. Visit Bashka today and gear up the schoolers! Bashka, the store that gives you more.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the first watch, and the topic of the first watch is "And in London, from anti-immigrant riots to anti-racism rallies." Our guests are Reverend Christopher Lewis, a church planter in England, and we also have Mark Cornwall, a Jamaican living in London for 17 years. Just before the break, Reverend Lewis, you were responding to a question I had asked in terms of a number of things were raised in the question, including where migrants are being held. I think the term migrant is a UN term. But before you respond, Reverend Lewis, I just want to add a little bit of context because I've seen more than one report, but just out of abundance of caution, I'm seeing as far back as last year, 2023, BBC Politics, British Broadcasting Corporation, 19th of September 2023. It's written by Sam Francis and Nick Eardley, political correspondents. Migrant hotel costs rise to £8 million a day. Home Office figures show, and it includes the cost of housing migrants in hotels has risen to £8 million a day. According to new figures from the Home Office, the use of hotels has increased over the last few years as the number of people entering the UK, and they do say illegally, or claiming asylum, so it distinguishes entering the UK illegally or claiming asylum has hit record levels. So whether the hotels are luxury hotels or regular, normal, if I could use that term, hotels, they are hotels which are normally nicer accommodation than than just, being in a non-hotel, if I could use that term. So some Britons might feel as if, people are coming in seeking asylum. Yes, fine, you're seeking asylum, but some are coming in illegally and are getting this kind of treatment. Reverend.
Yeah, I think, like I said, there's a little bit of misinformation that is out there.
You're accusing the BBC of misinformation? I'm not saying you are. I'm just asking because I'm reading literally from what I'm seeing here.
Oh, I know. I'm not contradicting what you said there. But what I'm telling you is that these hotels are not what you would think of as hotels. They are absolute dumps. The rooms, they're abandoned hotels.
Lewis, the article says hotels. We would not know that.
I know, that's why I'm explaining it. Yeah, why I'm explaining it.
You're saying the BBC is wrong.
The BBC is not wrong, but the use of the word hotel is just like it seems to be giving you the wrong impression. The word gives a lot of people the wrong impression.
So these hotels are dumps.
They are dumps. They're in small rooms. There's no staff. You don't have room service. The rooms are very small, like the ones they're put in. They have no facilities. They just have beds and really crap food. So it's worse.
Let me ask you this question. Are Brits or Britons in the UK who have arguably paid taxes, served their country from time immemorial or before that.
Yes.
Are they being taken off the street and housed in a similar way as
Yes.
these migrants, illegal
They
immigrants, asylum
Ye-
seekers?
Yes, there are. There are currently
Argument,
20,000.
the argument, is that
Yeah.
whilst persons are being housed in this particular way, you have persons from England, residents of England, who are literally on the street.
Right. So first of all, there are between 2,000 and 3,000 people on the streets every night. Okay, in the whole of the UK.
Are migrants on the street?
Yes, there are migrants on the streets.
So they come to the UK, and some of them end up on the street. They are not all housed in hotels. You are saying?
No. Give me a moment, and I'll kind of give you a picture of what's happening. Okay. So there are tens and tens of thousands of homeless people.
Sure.
Most of them, almost all of them, are housed either in hotels. There's 20,000 homeless Britons in hotels as well, or in other kind of centers, but they're almost all housed. So it's important to remember that this is not America where you have the tent cities and things like that. But that being said, out of the hundreds of thousands of homeless people, there are still 2,000 or 3,000 people sleeping rough every night. So the system is not perfect. It includes both migrants and non-migrants. So it's important to remember this. But the idea that is put forward by some that migrants are in hotels, Britons are not, is false, because there are also, like I said,
I was reading, and there's more than one article from the BBC, by the way, but time doesn't allow me to go through another one that I also saw, but I read from that one. In terms of the pressure on the social services, any comments on that? And I'm going to ask Mr. Connell to weigh in on that as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Before you, in fact, you say something on it quickly, Reverend Lewis, before I bring back in Mr. Connell. Reverend Lewis, go ahead.
Well, I mean, because he works in the medical field, he might have more information on the effects upon the medical services.
Yeah.
So I think I would like to defer to him and hear what he has to say on that side.
Mr. Connell.
So in terms of the effects on the medical services, in the area I work in, I would not say we have seen any significant impact in terms of migrants putting pressure on the system. But I, to be honest, I work in vaccinations, and that is effectively a kind of universal offer. And I don't know if the Reverend would agree, but effectively, migrant populations tend to be a bit more vaccine skeptic than the native population.
Sure.
So it would be difficult to make any definitive statements on that. But there's one other bit that I'd probably want to put some my thoughts forward in relation to as well, which is that quote of what, £8 million for the hotels, for example.
Yes.
Because I mean, I see this a lot in the media in any event where you put a monetary figure out there saying it costs that much, but then you don't put any further context around it in terms of how that money actually, what are the implications of £8 million a day? How many migrants is it supporting? How is the money distributed in terms of food, rooms, etc.? Because we really don't know that. We just see a monetary figure, and it's, to be honest, it's all over politics. That's one problem I find with politics. People quote monetary figures, and they don't tell you how that money is going to be spent, because sometimes the money is just completely wasted. In any event, I don't know if the Reverend knows about the Bibi Stockholm, for example, that barge that was housing migrants, and the conditions that were stated there were so poor that they actually had to move the people out, if I'm not mistaken. So in that BBC article, they're not say inaccurate, but they're not providing the full context that would probably leave people completely informed of the reality of the situation, if you understand what I'm saying.
Amen.
And in terms of housing, generally speaking, yes, you can't speak to medical, but generally speaking, Reverend Lewis, maybe you can talk about the impact on housing and impact on education.
Yeah.
Children come in, they need to go to school.
Right. I mean, the reality is, I mean, you need to keep in mind as well in looking at this, remember the context is that most Britons are in favor of this, of helping them. So it's different than in countries
No,
where,
naturally. Let me get it abundant, make it abundantly clear. We're
yeah,
not in any way, shape, or form saying that people don't need help.
yeah,
Asylum
absolutely,
seekers will need help because
absolutely.
they might be trying to escape war
Yeah,
or some political persecution wherever they're coming from. So don't get me wrong. I'm just trying to have a more balanced discussion on it, because
of
usually
course.
when you hear about this kind of discussion, all you hear is what seems to be kind of one-sided.
Yeah,
And I'm just asking myself the question, and I think many persons might be wondering, is there something more?
absolutely.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would say regarding education,
Yeah.
people that I know working in the education field, and I work together with one of the schools here as well, seem to be most of the ones I know are quite encouraged, because the reality is that the children are integrating quite well. Children learn like this; they're like a sieve. Teach them English, they've got English, you know. But also, when it comes to housing, we have to remember that the UK has this housing system. Like I said, they are housing the homeless people too, but there are 2 or 3 thousand, which includes, by the way, there are 9,000 refugee families currently homeless. Okay, so it's not all, they're all in hotels or all in places. So it's really much more complicated than the pictures that are being put forth. So it's important to know that. Is there a pressure?
We are running out of time,
Yeah.
and we have spent some time on the issue of housing them, whether in
Yes.
hotels or otherwise. But any issues in terms of religious integration or other integration, because one gets the sense that,
Yeah.
and this is my sense from having done some research, one gets the sense that migrants are coming in, whether you use the term migrants or illegal immigrants, persons are coming into the country, and maybe the native Britons there's not been enough of a conversation with the native Britons in terms of, you know, knowing that these persons are coming in, how do you accommodate them? Maybe it's a sort of top-down approach. They are coming in, just accept it. I don't know if that's an issue you want to comment on, Reverend Lewis. And
Yeah.
what is it? What, if anything, is the Church of England or any
Okay.
church you're working with doing to bridge that gap? Because it's one thing to say come in, but you might have, let's just say, a marriage. You marry someone who she already has 2 children from a previous marriage, and you enter the marriage with a child, and they all live in the same home, and the parents are fine, but the next day the children are fighting. The children from your previous relationship are fighting with the children from the other relationship, because you never sat down with the 3 children and had a conversation with them.
Yeah. Okay. Again, you kind of have lots of questions within one, but I'm trying to point, like, when it comes to integration, first of all, I mean, they're integrating into a secular country, not a Christian one. But as far as the Christians' response, many churches that I'm connected with are doing a great job.
So you're saying that England is not a Christian country, it's a secular country?
Oh, absolutely. Less than 5%.
I tend to agree with you, but it's interesting coming from you, who's from the Church of England. Continue, sir.
Yeah, of course. Less than 5% of British people go to any kind of religious service whatsoever.
Yeah.
But the churches, many of them that I work with and know, are doing a great job of reaching out to refugees. We're working with chefs. We're working with various ones in various ways, teaching English and things like that as well. And many of them are doing a lot of things.
You say 5% are going to a religious kind of service.
That's right.
Paraphrasing. But what about the Muslims coming in? Are they abandoning their faith, or are they going to their mosques when they
The answer is yes and no. Some of them are abandoning their faith, and some of them are sticking to their own religion.
So when you say 5%, you're including the Muslims, or the 5%?
I would be including the Muslims in that, yes.
Interesting.
Wow, it's like I said, it's a very secular country. It's hard for people on that side of the world to picture this. But there are a lot of Muslims who go to their mosque, and they have their communities, their faith communities. And there are some churches that are doing a good job of trying to reach the refugees. But what I say is, a lot of churches are doing nothing.
And
And
Reverend, are you a Christian?
yes, absolutely.
Christian, I see. And the current prime minister is an atheist.
He's an atheist, yeah.
And the last prime minister, of course, was Hindi.
He was Hindu, yeah.
Very interesting. We are totally out of time. There's so much to unpack in this conversation, but alas, never enough time on the morning watch. I think we need to do some more discussion on this if we can, because
Yes.
I do think there are a lot of sides to this conversation. I want to thank Mark Cornwall for being a guest this morning with us on the morning watch, as well as Reverend Christopher Lewis. Listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back at the morning watch.
The time by Gem Bank is
7:31.
Enjoy yummy for the summertime. Win big for the back to school. It's the Yummy Summer Back to School promotion. Purchase one each of these yummy products: yummy cheese bread, cornbread, jamboree, and 5-ounce buns. Write your name, address, and contact number on the back of your receipt and mail with the empty packages. Send in with your Yummy salesman or drop off at your nearest Yummy agency or entry box in participating supermarkets. Enter today and win your share of over 1.4 million in cash and prizes. Win big for the back to school. Follow us at Yummy Bakery JA for more details. Authorized under Section 58 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Hey, my peeps, get this on the regular. Your HIV status if you consider. Use of a test once a year. Just 15 minutes and status clear. Cause it might not show up on your timeline and you learn to win it, so you're out of time. A progressive future, only tool. Really long life, our story. You hear?
Remember, update your status in a real life. Your HIV test today.
Just 15 minutes and status clear. Really long life, our story. Really long life, for you coming from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Report if you don't check them. The excellent customer service of a service knowledgeable and trustworthy. And we have a wide variety of supplies, society, and the price is right, yes, it's worth it. The solution to your heart of all things, the one-stop shop. And we deliver to so if you can't come in, just ring up our WhatsApp or call and make your order. And remember, there's no other, so it hurts if you don't check them. So there's no need to say. Report if you don't check them. Of the follow Grey Sardine, better flavor. Grey Sardine with the chef and the beginner. Follow the one with pepper, that are the winner. Shop and supermarket, everybody sell it. You all of them nice. Pass the part, me push a lit.
Pick up Grey Sardines with peppers, vegetable oil, water, and olive oil with peppers.
Cook it up, we breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Shake it out, spice it up, make it simmer. Grey Sardine, yeah, the better flavor. Quick and easy as you print it. Ready?
Grey Sardines, follow the better flavor.
You know what's sweet? The new Pack Sweet Living promotion. Win great prizes.
Bedroom set, living room set, or kitchen appliance set, plus TVs and monthly cash prizes.
Send in 5 new pack labels or a receipt. Labels must belong to at least the new pack candies, coconut milk powder, and new pack all categories. Fill out the tagline. New pack, more than just value. Place your entry in one of the drop boxes at participating outlets. Enter by mail or online at newpackjamaica.com. Time to live sweet. Enter the new Pack Sweet Living promotion, June 16th to August 31. See the price for more details. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Tiles. It can go everywhere, from your walls to your floors, from inside to outside. Your style, your choice. At Active Home Center, we have the widest selection of tiles, from classic to unique. Shop our new arrival of tiles for your bathrooms, living rooms, kitchen, and more. Let us help you transform your space. Visit us in Kingston at 84 Constant Spring Road, or our newly opened location in Freeport, Montego Bay. Active Home Center. More savings, more choices.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Let's take a look now at our news sources to see what the Jamaicans are saying and doing. And we have here in the Daily Observer, UN issues warning as Maduro prepares crackdown on opponents. More reference to this at page 18 of the Daily Observer. We also have on the front page of the Daily Observer, hunt for killers escalates. Mocha adds forensic intelligence gathering power to massacre probe. This story by Jason Cross, Observer staff reporter. We turn now to the Gleaner. Court sustains prenup precluding wife from husband's estate. This is a rather interesting story that persons can look at in the Gleaner. We turn to Loop Jamaica News, and 1 second, please, if I could crave your indulgence. It appears as if I think I have located the Loop Jamaica News link. Man on murder charge, even after gun reportedly jammed on first attempt. Man on murder charge, even after gun reportedly jammed on first attempt. I'm telling you, the crime rate in this country and the murder rate is something. We are doing a fairly decent job in bringing down the numbers of murders, but the nature and the degree of some of the crimes is really horrendous. Coming up next, we will read some of the feedback from our Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp question, which is, what are your thoughts on the riots and rallies that were happening in the UK? If you haven't done so yet, leave your responses on our Facebook or YouTube. Love 101 FM Jamaica Live, and also WhatsApp comments and voice notes to 876-9973-125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll be right back.
Spanish Town, you're up next. Double the Love is coming your way. Saturday, August 24. See you there. Another World of Worship Wednesday is coming your way inside Alive, 1 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. August 14. Packed with worship, fun, and information. Stick around for the brain testing exercise at 1:45. The Summer School Edition. Prayer Blast will come your way at 2 o'clock. More prayer, more power. 2:15, we feature Shirley Caesar as our worship artist of the day. At 3 p.m., we bring you the hot topics. Join us to find out what's trending in your world of entertainment, sports, lifestyle, you name it. All this and more will come your way inside Alive, 1 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. This World of Worship Wednesday, August 14, with yours truly, Sarah Ann, the Trippy One on the family station, Love 101.
Hey everybody, it's time for Small People with Auntie Vashti.
That's right, it's the Small People Show with me, Auntie Vashti, every Monday to Friday at 4:30 p.m. Listen up, children, this is our time, and every day we want you in on the great things we are doing inside the Small People Show. We come to have fun. We come to help you through those rough days. We're educational, inspirational, and the Small People Show with Auntie Vashti is taking over the nation. Every child must know that they are special because God created you special. That's the Small People Show with me, Auntie Vashti. Monday to Friday at 4:30 p.m. It's on the family station, Love 101.
And every afternoon, Small People.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Now for responses to our social media question, what are your thoughts on the riots and rallies that were happening in the UK? Jakal?
All right, so we have here a response from Cherry in Spanish Town. She says, as an illegal or legal migrant and facing racism is never an easy treat, especially when you are, as you know, some would say below average or below society. There are laws and rights to back you, but who will back you? Who will stand for you when racism raises its ugly head? But yeah, that's what we have.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. We move right into the second watch now. While some still wait to get back electricity, what Jamaicans will just say, we just call it light, waiting to get back light. Others sat in amazement at the news of the $1 billion cocaine bust. Yes, right here in Jamaica. And there is the continued problem of back to school woes. And of course, unfortunately, that wanton crime. The wanton crime, the murders, the shootings that cause injury. And there are other things, extortion, etc. We have as a guest this morning to have a bit of a back and forth and discuss a number of these issues as they arise or as they have arisen. Michael Diamond. Michael Diamond is the president of Consumers Intervention Jamaica. And Mr. Diamond is no stranger to the Morning Watch. Good morning, Michael. How are you doing? Are you with us, Michael? Are you muted?
Mm-hmm.
Michael Diamond? I think we're having a little challenge hearing Michael. Or do we have him on, Jukal? I think we have him on now. Michael Diamond.
He's muted.
I think you need to unmute yourself, Michael.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Diamond? Mr. Diamond, please unmute yourself. I gather you might be muted.
He's muted.
You're still muted, Michael Diamond. Would you like to unmute yourself? Until he comes in, we're going to take a look at lightweight. Lightweight. We are waiting. Some people are still waiting to get back electricity into their homes and even business places. We're going to take a look at the $1 billion cocaine bust, that recent $1 billion cocaine bust, the Cherry Tree Lane massacre. I'm just still wondering what really happened. What could have gotten into some people's minds for them to have done this? That's a lot of relatives for people,
Mm-hmm.
Even those who didn't die.
Right.
And the injuries, the medical bills, and all those funeral expenses for the persons who are... All right, let's not go there. Now, back to school again, a challenge for many Jamaicans. We're going to be discussing all of this with Michael Diamond this morning in the minutes we have left until the end of the Morning Watch. Michael Diamond. Michael, morning. Still don't have Michael Diamond on? Until we bring him on, let me quickly indicate some of the news items we will be taking a look at on the Morning Watch. Hopefully, we'll have Michael Diamond on in a moment. One of the first things we intend to look at is the matter of light. Some people in Jamaica are saying, let there be light in their homes. Let there be light in their business places. Hurricane Beryl came and went, and yet they still have no light. Michael Diamond, I think you're on now with us.
Yes, good morning. Not sure what happened there.
Well, don't worry. You're with us now. I hope it wasn't a problem with the light. I don't think it was. I'm joking. It wasn't that. JPS says it met the August 12th restoration timeline, sir. But thousands still without power. Your thoughts, Michael, because we know that they gave an extended deadline for the restoration of electricity in, is it St. Elizabeth? Yes. But in relation to other parts of the island, August 12th was the deadline. Today is the 14th. The Jamaica Public Service Company says it has completed post-hurricane burial restoration of electricity to the majority of its customers, except for some in St. Elizabeth and isolated areas of Westmoreland, Manchester, and rural St. Andrews. Suppose you were one of those in those isolated areas, Mr. Diamond. What would you be going through right now?
You know, we have to, yes, it is very challenging. Yes, it's been several weeks. I would imagine that there are a lot of individuals who seem to basically forget that, providing this service is a very delicate thing, and any number of things can affect the proper delivery of such. So what I've seen from my own eyes, there's massive destruction of the power lines and a lot of the poles. So our expectations was just a little bit too high as far as when the recovery would occur, and perhaps JPS was being very optimistic by giving that timeline.
I'm wondering if I am wondering the same thing, if they were being too optimistic, quite frankly. And of course, if you have damage to your home, I think we're up almost upon a break already. If you have damage to your home, you could have damage to the circuitry and how this power system can work in your home. So it may not only be be getting, but it might not only be about getting back light to your property. It might be making sure that your property can receive the light properly.
Absolutely, because there's also that risk.
Yes, yes. Hold that thought, Michael Diamond. Listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back with the Morning Watch.
Sardine for the chef and the beginner. Follow the one with pepper, that and the winner. Shop and supermarkets, everybody
Great sardines, follow the better flavor.
Time is
7:45 a.m.
Don't get it twisted. Seal Jamaican sugar and the real deal. No matter with the Thai bag sugar, after you don't know how it package, things can transfer from one bag to the next if them not follow proper food handling standards. Play it safe. Don't get it twisted. Choose the bag that's sealed and labeled from sugar. Plus, you support Jamaican sugar and keep your eye.
We're having a conversation with Michael Diamond about various issues, a snapshot of news. Lightweight, meaning electricity weight, waiting on electricity. Lightweight, $1 billion bust. Cherry Tree Lane massacre. And back to school again. Michael Diamond.
Are you hearing me okay?
We're hearing you okay, Michael Diamond. You were commenting in relation to the whole matter of whether the JPS August 12th deadline was too early. If they were too optimistic. And I even commented and indicated you could have another challenge. Whether the damage to your property was such that you probably need to check the circuitry, the wiring to your property to ensure that you can really receive the electricity from the JPS. Continue, Michael. Michael Diamond.
Yes, so what is happening where JPS is concerned, in my personal opinion, I definitely find that it's been too politicized right now. And the fact of the matter is you have an organization that basically
I'm going to ask to pause 1 second there, Michael. You know, the fact of the matter is that citizens are going to go to their political representatives to seek assistance. And the political representatives are going to feel obliged to do something about it. It's just a reality.
It is a very irresponsible reality, one that is all too common, where the individuals who should be more responsible in making sure that communication doesn't get so muddy. The reality is that what is happening with JPS is actually a national security issue. JPS is an integral part
Slow down
of
a
our
bit. You
national
said a
security.
national security issue. Slow down a little bit and unpack that some more for us.
Well, basically, considering the fact that JPS, the nation's power provider,
yes,
is also providing power to a lot of our organizations that requires that in order to maintain monitoring of our country. You have a situation here where there are some delicate things that cannot be disclosed to the public, but yet still those politicians, as irresponsible as they are, took it to be this talking point when in fact they shouldn't. It is very irresponsible. What is happening is that, yes, it is very unfortunate and inconvenient for those who have yet to get their power restored. But the reality of it is that it is a very serious situation that requires a delicate approach to bringing that, even in the areas that are so remote.
What did any politicians say that you think could have affected national security? Is that what you're saying?
So consider the fact that, there was a call for some type of punishment and penalization, and then when there was such a suggestion that the amount seemed so minuscule, so now it makes it appears that the OUR is without teeth. You see, it is something that, again, you don't want the public to be confused about who's in charge, who's the regulator, and what recourse they actually have. So, yes, there's a lot can be done for the OUR to be strengthened, but we're speaking about a situation where there was a hurricane and there were some destruction and there's a process of restoration. These timelines are unrealistic to begin with based on the destruction that occurred.
If you were the JPS, what would you have done or said?
So definitely if I was the JPS, what I would have done is given some more clear communication and involve stakeholders that can help to disseminate that information more rapidly, rather than, taking the public relations approach. There's more that can be done, and a lot of it is a lack of clear communication to our consumers.
Well, I'm not sure if what you said really focuses so much on national security, but let us segue into something which could be a national security issue. That massacre, some people are even calling it a mass shooting, the Cherry Tree Lane massacre.
Stokeley, unfortunately, a lot of individuals were not even surprised. They weren't surprised that it happened. They weren't surprised at the body count. It is almost the norm, unfortunately. And again, there's always the call for how will we, be responsible for our communities and assist the state in able to provide the level of security that we truly deserve. It's so very unfortunate. And, at a time like now, it's heart-wrenching. It is heart-wrenching. But we have to go back to the community. Again, these things are not random, but how do we give the community the confidence to participate in the process of the investigation without fear of reprisal?
The JFJ has tackled the Prime Minister on the language he used in relation to how the situation should be dealt with, and fearing that it might cause people within communities to react in a particular way. This story by Alicia Dunkley Willis of The Observer. JFJ tackles Prime Minister on Cherry Tree Lane vow. Rights group says declaration that killers must meet a judge or their maker dangerous. Do you think the Prime Minister was going too far in saying these words? I don't know if it is.
I can say to you that at this point, the JFJ has no credibility to speak on that. The issues that they're focused on, they're not focusing on it. There's nothing wrong with what was said. We have cushioned too often these individuals. Is either dead or alive. It's a very simple process. If you respect life, you do not take life. And these individuals have demonstrated that they have no observance, nor do they respect the rule of law. So you have an individual who spoke, and of course, what he says does not affect the policing of Jamaica to begin with, because those were just words. But nevertheless, what it has to demonstrate clearly, we will not continue to pacify these situations hiding behind the law books when in fact these individuals operate outside the law. It doesn't mean that we want to operate outside the law, but the situation is very clear, dead or alive. If you resist then you will be put down because you must be brought to justice. Look at what they have done. We cannot continue to do this. Where are these voices when these individuals are dying? They're so busy protesting against the rhetoric and forgetting the fact that lives were taken, regardless of what the Prime Minister says. Why are you focusing on that?
Enough said, Michael Diamond, enough said. Changing gears again, because there's not enough time on the morning watch. Something that we have probably not seen that much in a while. $1 billion bust. And you would have heard the story, Michael Diamond. And for those persons listening, I'll read a little bit of a story here from the Gleaner. This was published last Thursday, August the 8th, 2024. A sprawling investigation involving multiple law enforcement agencies is underway to identify the mastermind behind Jamaican $11 billion Jamaican dollar cocaine stash billion that was seized in St. Andrew on Tuesday. Sources disclose that would have been probably last Tuesday. Approximately 2,600 kilograms or 5,569 pounds of cocaine with a street value of US $75.79 million were found at a house in the community of Havendale during a 3-hour operation by the police officials confirmed yesterday. There's a quotation here that goes as follows, quote, "A whole heap of cocaine that," unquote, said one police source who did not want to be named because they are not authorized to comment publicly on the probe. Michael Diamond, a whole heap of cocaine that.
It sounds like a lot of cocaine, and I doubt that amount really reflects anything historical in the sense of perhaps that's what was found. Clearly, there's probably more than that. Jamaica has long been recognized as a transshipment hub for these type of illicit, items. The fact of the matter is that we have to do more. We have to do more in protecting our borders, because finding that particular amount demonstrates that, Jamaica is clearly still being used as that hub. And what comes with that is a lot of death and destruction.
Yes.
So this is something very serious, because someone will have to pay for that, whether it be their life. So we have to recognize that these are some of the things that helps to perpetuate the criminality and the violence that we have in our country. Yes. As long as we're not able to protect our borders, these things will continue to happen, because clearly there's no cocaine manufacturing in Jamaica. So it has to come from somewhere on its way to go somewhere else, because we don't have a drug problem in Jamaica. Yes. So clearly, we have a situation here where Jamaica is a middleman, as some individuals play. Now we're playing as a country, as a middle country, for these type of activities. So it's a very serious thing. It's a security issue.
Yes. And finally, back to school again. And I'm seeing where I know a number of parents are concerned that even the whole matter of the non-restoration of electricity to some places will affect going back to school. And then there's a whole matter of acquiring books, school uniforms. Michael?
Can we actually, be very frank about this situation? It's the same situation every year when it comes to back to school. It's almost like hurricanes. Jamaicans are never prepared. The fact of the matter is that entire system needs an overhaul. We are experiencing a situation now that clearly will affect, school being able to reopen in some areas. But nevertheless, when it comes down to back to school, it's a situation that it's a cycle. It's a cycle that is not changing. It's the same situation. Access to materials. Why are these materials changing?
Make a suggestion, Michael, because we are totally out of time. If you were to make a suggestion, what would you say to the Jamaican people in terms of preparing?
I would simply say that they need to put more pressure on their politicians to do an audit of the Ministry of Education to find out how we can certainly better the situation and stop. As I said, we do have to start pussyfooting around these things.
Michael, remember that this is morning radio, but thank you. Never enough time on the morning watch. I want to thank you, Michael, for your comments this morning on the morning watch. Thank you for being with us. And again, never, we can never finish discussing some of these matters. Thank you, listeners, for being with us. Of course, Michael, thank you for being with us. Thank you, listeners, for being with us. Join us again tomorrow as we look at other topical and controversial issues. And visit the Love 101 FM YouTube channel and Facebook page for this and all other Love 101 FM programs. And of course, we're now on TikTok as well at Love 101 FM Jamaica. Listen to the Morning Watch on our Love 101 app and download it today and stay connected to the family station, Love 101 FM, the #1 gospel station in Jamaica. This has been the Morning Watch. Thanks to our producer, Kathy Gale, and to our guests. I am Stokeley Marshall, handing you back to Love in the Morning with Chukal.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness works to ensure the provision of quality health services and promotes healthy lifestyles and environmental practices for all Jamaicans. The time by the Ministry of Health and Wellness is 8:01 a.m. and you are now invited to listen to Forward in Faith, brought to you by